Welcome to Mine EX-Plorers.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here today.
This is episode 10.
Yeah, it's gone by fast.
10 episodes this month.
That's fun.
One every Tuesday and one bonus one, actually. So I think this is actually week 9, but we filmed 10 episodes because we did a bonus one where I went off on the executive order.
Yeah, because that was really exciting.
It was, and interesting, and it's the kind of timely thing you got to jump on.
Right.
So I wanted to get all those sound bites and to go along with a big, long article I wrote about it. So,
yeah, and speaking of the executive order, I mean, it's been almost a week now. How are you feeling about the industry?
Not a lot changes in a week.
No,
the hype people have done their hyping. Mm-hmm. So there's been press releases from every major project in the United States that thinks they could benefit from it. Mm-hmm. They've all put out a press release. They've got their PR people on it. Some very much deserved. Resolution comes out and says, hey, we're finally getting, we can make 25% of the U.S.'s copper supply. This is made for us. And then other, smaller, we're going to make rare earths from guano.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right. We'll see a little bit of that.
Yeah, we're awesome too.
Black box technology, love it.
Yeah, and then a lot of, different analysis and stuff. But my view hasn't changed over the week. It's settled a little bit. I'm less excited about it and a little more settled. Maybe that little bit of post optimism blues.
Well, we just came back from Ag 1 as well, and that was interesting because we got a feel from what it's like on the construction aggregate side of the industry, because we're at a unique space with our company of being in construction aggregates and then being in exploration. So we kind of see almost the whole side of mining. We see almost every side of mining. I mean, what else is there?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because I've always considered construction aggregates to be part of the mining industry. And I think most people in construction aggregates think of themselves as part of the construction industry.
Yeah.
But really, it's mining and construction. And by that same token, all minerals end up being used in the construction industry as well. And the tech industry,
right,
and the energy industry, and every other damn industry. So really, they're all part of every industry, but I see it all as mining, right? We're still mining. I guess I have the same view as M. Shaw when it comes to what is a mine.
Right.
If you're taking material out of the ground and you're sizing it and
any type of sorting
it,
it's a mine.
It's a mine.
Yep. Just one simple classifier in your property constitutes as a mine.
Yeah, or grizzly.
Yeah, or
in
grizzly.
The simplest terms, just sorting out the big boulders.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I have a lot of big feelings today. It's a Monday. We just got back from Ag 1. It was in St. Louis. It was a new location, but attendance was down like 27%.
It was.
So, and I don't take that as an economic indicator, but I do have my hesitations there on the economy when it comes to construction aggregates. But I think just the location. St. Louis doesn't have the best reputation. Ag 1 is usually in Nashville, which is a very fun, vibrant place.
Yeah. The people I talked to at Ag 1 were not super stoked to be in St. Louis.
Yeah, and it's a shame because it really is.
The pictures that I saw from the show, I mean, I was there as well. I left on Wednesday, so I didn't stay for the last day, but the pictures people were sending from the last day looked like a fun party.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, Michelle sent a picture of like the beer gardens or something.
I didn't see any of the fun party pictures.
No.
I went to the baseball game.
Maybe you weren't invited.
I went to the baseball game and it rained hard, so it was delayed. But the game was great and we won. But St. Louis, they're trying. The convention center itself is nice and it's plenty big,
massive.
But the infrastructure around it they're revitalizing it.
Yeah.
But it's decayed to such an extent that like
they're essentially starting
boarded
from
up buildings a half a block from the convention center.
Yeah.
And so there's a couple hotels, There's some restaurants and things, but there's really not the same infrastructure as like Nashville or Vegas or New Orleans, where it'll be in 2027. So
let's go back to the big feelings. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on that.
So I'm just frustrated. So gold hit 31.40 today.
Yeah, all-time high. Another all-time high, right?
My price target for gold was 3,100 by the end of the year. And I still think it'll close out the year around there, plus or minus $100, which maybe is a bit overly conservative, but I think there's going to be some pullbacks, some different things. I'm sure there's a lot of opinions out there. I mean, I'd say in terms of range, if I was just going to throw like a safe bet that I'd feel really comfortable with, in terms of range, I think gold's going to close out 2025 somewhere between $2,800 an ounce and $3,800 an ounce, which is a huge range. And there's a lot that can happen. But I'm really frustrated today because I know, and this is just me being frustrated personally and just getting back from a trip and being busy and everything. But like, I watch the gold prices so high and the miners are lagging so far.
Yeah.
And it's been happening for a long time, but day by day now, where gold continues to get all-time highs and the miners are like barely seeing anything, or like some of my favorite juniors with great resources that haven't been valued since like 1,200 an ounce, maybe like 1,800 an ounce. And we're hitting these all-time highs, and I'm watching their stock price decline.
Right.
And it's like on no news, no bad news or anything. They're just slow and steady. And it's like there's just so much hate for the miners in the industry. Or not even hate, just apathy, right?
I think it's more apathy than hate. Yeah.
It's not really hate. I mean, people love to hate the mining industry, and they love to hate all natural resources, right?
Well,
oil and gas, timber, whatever. That's normal. But like the apathy towards the miners, like I'm looking at like Barrick's latest results, and it's like revenues are up 100%, profitability's up like 20%. Their net profit margin's like 27%. Hell, I'd love to have a 27% net profit margin at any of my companies.
Yeah.
And granted, it's not the same thing. I mean, the price of our services haven't gone up by $1,000 a unit or whatever in the last year. But it's like, you think with performance like that, their share price would be up at least 20% and not like just hovering around where it has been. Like it's crazy. Like none of these miners are anywhere near all-time highs. And gold is $1,000 an ounce above where it was a year ago.
Like we would think that the industry would be going nuts right now. Like we would be booked out the rest of the year and just
and in terms of like, so I'm on the aggregate side a lot, and I'm looking at that, and I can talk about that and what I see there. But like you spend a lot of time on the exploration side, like we're this year compared to last year, same time of the year. Are we really any busier?
No, we're about the same. Our geology department's about double.
Yeah, but that's because we have Bruno.
It is because we have Bruno.
It's because we have Bruno. We have somebody in the driver's seat of that department who is highly trusted, highly experienced, no nonsense. Like if you're going to have somebody get your project done, Bruno's run projects from, tiny market cap, 2-3 hole companies, all the way up through running Resolution. I mean,
he's impressive.
So it's more Bruno than the industry, but still, like, when are we actually going to see all of that trickle down? And I'm wearing a different hat today. I've got my cranky hat on.
Oh no, I see it.
Yeah, it's a Monday. I've got my cranky hat on. So me next week or last week would be like, it's going to take a while to trickle down through the system, and I know it will, but like the day to day, if you're watching the stock prices or paying attention to what's going on, it's like, oh my hell.
No, you can't do the day to day. You got to do the overall picture.
I stopped reading the news every day like a month ago.
Yeah.
It's just too chaotic.
It is chaotic.
I couldn't filter out the noise. And so now
Well, it's so hard to know what news sources to even trust right now.
I have alerts set up. So Google alerts, they're great. You put in your things that you look for and it'll aggregate and it'll send to you based on, like, I have an aggregator of aggregates and it'll send me like, here's all the industry news that came out last week related to aggregates. And I can skim the headlines and I can click on things. And of course, like rock products and sources like that send me email digests that are good. And then in the mining industry, it's the same thing. I have alerts set up for every state that's really significant in mining. Here's what's going on in Nevada. Here's Arizona. Here's Idaho. Here's Utah. So I've been doing that to keep track. But it's still frustrating.
Yeah, well, we're in a challenging industry any way you cut it.
Oh yeah, super challenging.
There's roadblocks and challenges every single day. I mean, that's why we solve the challenges of mining, because they're plentiful. We'll never run out of challenges to solve.
No, never, and that's good. And there's just never boredom. It's not like we're just like so tired of taking checks to the bank that we don't want to work anymore. It's always something like. Even when things are going well, there's always like something that's happening.
I mean, that's business too. I mean, that's running a business. There's always something that's going on. Mining is just, I don't know. It's the only business that I know. So it's really hard to compare. But when I look at other businesses like retail, it's like, okay, you know your market, you know your audience.
Retail's tough. Wow. Retail's tough too.
Maybe that's not a good comparison. But
no, I think you and I get frustrated by the industries that just...
I think we're mostly frustrated with tech because you just see so much money flowing into it and you see the products and half of them are just bullshit.
Yep.
I had a call with... so Chris is taking over all of finance, which is super awesome. Very excited. But I want to, find ways to help offload some of the day-to-day repetitive tasks off his plate.
Yeah.
So it's
finance is a perfect place to do that.
And finance is a perfect place to do that because it's very consistent. It's like usually the same things time and time again. And so I was thinking, well, AI could really benefit his job. So I signed up for a free demo with this company, and it was by far the worst sales call I've ever had in my life.
Wow.
Yeah, he didn't even try. Chris gave him a brief explanation of what we wanted in an AI software to categorize our expenses. And this guy's just like, well, we could get you in touch with our developers and you could work on something together. And it's like, what do you do? Like, what are you doing? What problem are you solving? Are you just like AI hype?
Well, yeah,
and that's what it felt like.
It's a huge thing. I mean,
it is a huge thing.
Everybody talks about it, but I think by now everybody serious is using AI in their business in some way or another. I think I could sit down and come up with a list of 20 different things we use AI for now at Burgess.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Quite a few now.
And like you talked about the other day when you were on, I think the episode before Amanda, saying that AI is not going to replace anyone's jobs, but we're going to be able to do a lot more with the team that we have. And we're seeing that already. I mean, in a huge way, like we used to have a marketing department.
Yep.
And before that, we outsourced marketing to a whole team.
Yep.
And now marketing is you and I and Andrea and AI. And it fills in all the blanks because you're like, I have this idea and I need to do this and I have this. And then even simple tools like, I know Canva isn't exactly AI. It has AI features now, but just the intelligent, easy to use.
No, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful platform.
So, I mean, and that's the thing in the tech space too. Like there are really great innovations and stuff.
Oh, for sure.
But then there's just a lot of like...
a lot of fluff.
Yeah, a lot of fluff. And I think for us, it's frustrating because without naming names or anything, there are AI/tech companies that have come into the space and picked up known projects and done a lot of good PR and stuff and raised these huge valuations that a company using the same tools and doing the same things that didn't brand themselves more to the tech side wouldn't even scratch.
Right.
So it's kind of some of that. And look, hype is part of any new thing. And my gripes with tech really amplify when you get into crypto, especially when I look at like the valuations and the things that are going on.
Yeah.
Because there's legitimate projects and there's legitimate utility to a lot of it. But then there's just crap where it's like, you know, you get these meme coins that go to, you know, $1 trillion valuation in a few days. And it's like, if we applied all of that to mining, $1 trillion, take $1 trillion and put it into domestic mining in the United States, you would not solve all the problems, but you would at least, if it's spent well in capable hands, be able to identify all of the deposits needed to fill all the gaps. Find them, prove them out, drill them, test them. You do that with $1 trillion. Yeah. But instead, it's like, you know, people are making NFTs and they're like, check out my cool pixel art that's worth.
That I never understood. Never understood. Like, how could you spend so much money on an image?
Well, and I kind of understand it. And my hope with it and what I'm starting to see is the pendulum swing. Mm-hmm. So it gets to this extreme. We're going to put a ton of value into almost nothing. And then on the other side of the extreme, you have like gold, which is tangible, valuable, has lots of uses.
Right.
Besides just taking up bytes on a computer. So we're starting to see it swing that way. But still at $3,100 plus gold, I would expect to see the miners be better funded to go out and really take advantage of things. And look, I'm hoping I watch this in 2 or 3 months and I go, oh yeah, just 60 days early, 90 days early, whatever. But I think even at my most pessimistic, I think the juniors with good projects in the US are going to see much better financial conditions in 6 months, which puts us into
October,
April, May, June, July, August, September, October. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So good fall after this September.
Actually, that's perfect timing because with the way BLM fees start on September 1.
Get into staking season, get busy.
Full swing staking season.
Yeah, and then do our good geology and
drill programs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that'll be good. The other thing, though, is on that aggregate side. So none of the executive orders or any of that affects that part of the industry.
Don't we have an infrastructure bill, something with the Biden administration?
Yeah, but almost none of it's been spent.
Yeah.
It's there, and it's getting hung up. But it's this thing that's happening where there's states that have to put in a certain amount of money. And they're like, okay, you put in 20 million, we'll put in the other 100 million, and you can build this highway.
Right.
Well, the states are like, no, we'll rather just take the 20 million and go build a new library instead of taking advantage of it. And so a lot of that funding is, for lack of a better word, contingent on generally state and local funding to unlock some of it. And so that's delayed a lot of it rolling out. And then post-COVID, we had all the supply chain issues and everything else that delayed a lot of stuff. So, but the infrastructure problem has never been solved. The roads are still in awful shape. Have you driven around in California lately?
No.
Yeah, I mean, we're spoiled here in Utah.
They're pretty good.
Pretty good.
They're pretty good.
Pretty good. It's not perfect. Look, there's still potholes.
Yeah, I mean, we're just barely coming out of winter.
But like some states, the infrastructure is really bad. I mean, we were just in the Midwest, and
there's some sections of highway that were pretty rough.
I was on a bridge, and a dump truck rolled up behind me, a garbage truck, and the bridge was shaking a little bit. And I was looking around at it, and I was like, man, this is the kind of bridge they talk about. Like, they just randomly collapse and stuff.
know.
And, so the infrastructure problems are still there. So the spending still needs to happen. The demand is still there in the aggregates. But demand for residential, commercial, all of that stuff is going to taper off because consumer confidence is low.
Right.
And it has been since COVID. Mm-hmm. But I think that's gonna be problematic. And I think the same economic and political uncertainty that's driving up gold drives down confidence in the aggregate business and new developments and things like that. And so for us, it's a real flip side, and it puts me in an interesting conundrum as a business owner because I'm excited about the exploration teams and all of that stuff going on, and they've faced headwinds for so long, and now it's finally maybe the time to really pick up and actually grow that part of the business and honestly make it profitable.
Yeah.
For the first time, really. But then on the consulting side of the business, that's there's some industrial and metal stuff, but largely we've grown our consultancy around aggregates. That may slow down. So the same things that are causing this are causing that. The way we counter that, and what we've been working on, is building our reputation, being more efficient, using all the tools and the things we've built, like mineralocity aggregates and things like that, to create better reports faster and drive more efficiency, I think helps, so we can do more with less. But then just building the reputation. So,
well, building our reputation and even adding a lot more value to the reports.
Right.
We've been doing a lot of that as well.
A value add where not even things that are necessarily asked for or needed, just we saw like, hey, I think this is really valuable information that we can plug in.
Yeah.
So we've been doing that, and then just building our reputation with bigger and larger companies with more projects, I think it's been helpful. But yeah, it's interesting because just a week ago I was super pumped and jazzed about all that stuff, and now it's starting to digest, and I'm like, yeah, I'm still excited, but it's definitely more nuanced.
Right. I mean, I think by now we realize that the mining industry is extremely bipolar. It's great one minute and then awful the next, and it just seems to flip-flop.
Well, and especially in certain commodities, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Like the uranium industry, everything's terrible for like 2 decades, and then all of a sudden it's like, woo, it's good. And then
uranium's good again.
Really terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah. And then there's industries that have just been in decline for decades, like coal.
Right.
And never an easy industry to start with. Like,
no, people hear coal and they think, oh, that's terrible. How could we ever use that? Like,
right.
How can we not evolved away from it? And it's like, you don't understand. Coal is not the only thing that we get from that. Like, there's
heat. It's not just used for electricity.
Yeah, heat.
No, it's used for lots of things.
Lots of things. I mean, if we got rid of the coal industry in the U.S., that would suck.
Well, there's some key products that are made downstream of coal that have nothing to do with energy.
Yeah.
And of course, now that we're talking about it, I can't remember them off the top of my head, but just an easy example that I can remember is fly ash.
Yep.
So fly ash is generated from coal burning power plants, and it's used as an additive in making cement and making the clinkers. And without that, they have to look to other alternatives. So there's been a lot of talk about pozzolan.
Right.
Pozzolan's going to be a big replacement. Pozzolan demand's going to double by 2030. A lot of that's largely speculative at this point. It's possible. It may happen. It may not happen. It's something I'm keeping an eye on because we have good deposits out here in the West. Mm-hmm. And I've had some inquiries about it recently. But that's another one, like, that's not even it's a byproduct of coal mining, but it's actually a byproduct of coal power generation. But there's a lot of other products that are made from coal that are, we still need it. And like metallurgical coal and things like that, there's no substitute.
Right. It's still a critical mineral,
yep.
Really.
Well, I mean, it's like hydrocarbons too, like
yeah,
oil and gas. largely used for energy, right? Huge, 80% at least is energy, right? Mm-hmm. And, gasoline, diesel, jet fuel, natural gas, plants, everything. But then there's all of the chemicals that are created from hydrocarbons. And
I think the world would stop functioning if we got rid of hydrocarbons.
It's everything. It's lubricants, it's plastics, it's like
half of the things in this room wouldn't exist without hydrocarbons.
Like, good luck.
Yeah. You'd be going back to like
none of it would exist. Nothing in this room, because it's all made in processes that have that.
Yeah.
None of it's like
you'd be going back to the Stone Age, essentially. Yeah.
So it's different. It's going to look different. It's changing, and the amount of demand and everything's shifting. But there's still so much that needs to happen in any sort of a transition. And any of the timelines, even these like 2050 timelines are all shot to hell already. The 2030 ones are totally gone.
Yeah.
We're like 2100, 2150 to be realistic. Just looking at things from like the mineral side, just looking at the amount of copper we need and just looking at like smelting capacity and refineries and stuff. There's tons that needs to happen. Mm-hmm. Anyway, good checking in with you this week. Anything else you want to add?
No, I think that about covers it. I know you're kind of having like a stormy outlook for the industry and things today, but I am actually feeling pretty good about how things are going.
Big preface. Yeah, it's just a Monday.
Yeah.
Just having a Monday kind of day.
I get it.
And feeling a little more... Ag 1 was great. We had some really good conversations there.
Yeah.
And it was good, but definitely the outlook was not as rosy as I'd hoped.
Right. And it was hard to tell if it was the place or if it was the industry as a whole.
My conversations weren't as...
Yeah.
It definitely tempered expectations for the year. And that's not just talking to like economists and analysts, but me sitting down with other business owners who
people in the
work
field
upstream or downstream from us. They service these big producers and saying, what's your outlook for the year? What's on your plate?
Right.
And I got a lot of same as last year, similar to last year. But there's definitely some clouds potentially. So, but yeah, I think my outlook's temporarily cloudy right now, and it just need to see how things play out over the next few months. But I'm acutely just mad to see the gold price shoot up past 3,100 and then just see none of that affect the people who actually produce it. It's just so crazy. Like, it's like Coca-Cola, like, the soda industry, like soda pop in the can just increased 50% in value, and nobody's buying stock in Pepsi or Coke or any of those guys. They're just buying the soda as much as they can.
Right.
So like physical gold demands through the roof, physical silver demands through the roof, copper demands through the roof, but
we need to invest in those companies who are finding the material too, because it is finite.
Right. And it'll happen eventually.
It will.
I think just largely like, retail.
But man, the lag though, like if it takes so long to get the investors going and getting money into the industry from other sources, right? And exploration takes such a long time because you have to do your diligence. The minerals are where you find them. You don't get to choose.
And even expediting everything permit-wise and
right,
all that.
Even if like all of the executive orders went through that Trump would,
all the aspects of it are all state.
You're still probably 10 years.
Yep.
Maybe if you found a really good deposit and drilling results came through and like the money just kept coming in.
But
maybe
you still have a lot, like to prove up a world-class copper mine.
Right.
You're looking at hundreds of millions of dollars.
Hundreds of millions.
And just exploration.
Yeah.
And proving a reserve and mine planning and all that. And you can rush that stuff all you want, but guess what? We know 5% increase in business in the mineral exploration industry in the US, your drill rig time, availability time, goes from now, I can get a rig next week almost anywhere in the country, any type of rig. Sonic, core, in almost any size. I can get one next week almost anywhere in the country. If there's even a 5% increase in just overall mineral exploration, that goes from a week to like 3 months. Mm-hmm. And maybe that's a little bit of an exaggeration, but I think it's still possible. But if you saw a 10% or 20% increase,
mm-hmm. that all adds to your timeline.
Then you're like maybe 6 months to get a rig.
Yeah.
But you're 6 months to get a rig, and your assays that you could turn around in 3 weeks.
Now they're months and months.
Now they're 3 months to 6 months. But what if you saw 100% increase or 200% increase?
I don't even know what that would look like.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't look like, because there's nobody to do it.
No.
There's not geologists to make targets. There's not enough geophysicists to shoot and interpret data to help generate targets. There's not enough contractors to go cut pads and roads in. And there's definitely not enough drill rigs or crews.
Right.
And right now we have a nice availability of them, but man, they get sucked up quick if things increase. Yeah. So to your point, even if things do pick up quickly, they still move slowly.
Yes.
So, and that's why my timeline, like, forget 2050 goals. Like,
there's no way. It's going to
take a long time. And you could throw a lot of money at the companies, and if you throw a bunch of money at the mining companies, and we don't solve the labor issues and the supply issues and the other things, it's just inflationary. Mm-hmm. Then everybody's waiting 3 months extra for a rig, 9 months a year, and it costs twice as much per foot or 3 times as much per foot.
Oh, yeah.
So I guess on a positive spin, that's why things move slowly. And that's good, but let's go ahead and get the money going into the system
right.
now.
Well, that's the point.
Start spinning things up, because
that's the point.
There's not plenty, but almost every drilling contractor can start placing orders for rigs now, can start recruiting.
But we need to get that excitement going.
But we need to get that going ahead of time.
We need to get that going.
But it's always reactionary.
Because it needs to be like a steady trickle of exploration.
I mean, are you staffing up till you see the money?
Hell no.
They're not going to either.
No.
So the money needs to start flowing, and we need to slowly turn it up.
All right, invest in gold projects. Invest in the mining industry.
Copper, mostly.
Copper.
Gold's great. Gold, silver, copper. And then, if you must, the other things.
If you're feeling spicy, go for uranium.
But be careful with the rare earth stuff, because seriously,
just do your homework.
All about processing capability.
Yes.
You can pick up the Wall Street Journal and read about the guy who bought a coal mine that's suddenly worth $12 trillion if you could magically extract the minerals and put them in a pile. But it would cost that much money to build the type of smelter and refining capacity to get all that mineral out.
Yeah.
So due diligence. But copper, great copper explorers, great projects in the U.S. And copper, you don't get goofballs in copper. You don't get speculators with like dumb projects. You get people who are long-term thinkers. They understand. And the guys who started picking up copper projects 5 to 10 years ago, building up, knowing this was coming, they're the ones to really keep an eye on.
Yeah, right.
So there's a few companies out there that are really good with that. But yeah. Cool. And, we'll see how my outlook changes over the next few weeks.
All right. Until next time.
Okay. We'll see ya.